Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. And today we are getting into a comparison video in our EDC line of multi-tools. Now, we're comparing two companies and two multi-tools that are made by, companies that are clones of Leatherman, Leatherman Multitools. This is the Flissa 16-in-1, which is based off the Leatherman Wave Plus clone. I'm sorry, based off the Leatherman Wave, and it's a clone of that. This is the BiBury Pro, Multitools Pro, Multitools Pliers Pro. I'm just going to call it the BiBury Multitools Pro for short. But this is based off of the Leatherman Surge, or the Surge Clone. And the prices generally fluctuate. I'm going to throw the affiliate link in the description. Sorry about the noise coming up from outside. I'm going to throw an affiliate link in the description for you to purchase this on Amazon. But essentially, you'll see that this generally goes for $29. And sometimes he'll have a coupon. Sometimes it won't, for like 10% off or something around there. This is going for $59, and sometimes I have a coupon, sometimes it won't. So you have to check to see when that coupon is available, when it's not. But the base price of this is $29 and this one is $59. So it's a $30 difference. So though it's not a direct competitor in terms of where they fall, because BiBury does make its own wave clone that will be more comparable to this one, which I don't have. But this will at least answer the question of, if you are in the market for a wave or a wave clone, and you are also thinking about upgrading to a surge or surge clone, that is it worth the difference in price? Now, obviously, when you're looking at the main variants that these come from, the Leatherman version, you know that the difference between the wave, generally speaking, is, I want to say 120, and the surge is 150. Though right at this moment, the wave was on sale for like about $104. But generally speaking, the difference between those is about $30. The difference between these are $20. But the overall difference is that both of them, you're paying over $100. So that extra $30 difference may feel like a lot more when you're already over the $100 territory, whereas $20 more may not feel like that big of a deal when you're below, say, you're at the $60 mark. You know what I mean? So it's definitely a difference. But once again, this is for all you guys who want to carry a tool on you as your everyday carry to some degree, whether that's on your person, whether it's in your car, whether it's in a duffel bag. Either way, it's still part of your carry. So without further ado, we're going to jump into this. They both come with really nice sheaths or cases. This one definitely feels a little bit more like a Leatherman case. And I have a Leatherman Wingman, which is why I know how the case feels. And this feels like almost exactly like that type. Now, I don't know if the Leatherman Surge, I was about to say the Surge, how that case feels, but this definitely is a more bulkier case versus this one, because it's needed to be in regards to all the extra things that come along with it. I am not going to jump into all the other things that come along with it, other than to mention to you that it has, the bits, the additional bits. It has replacement for the wire cutters, and this is 2 different saws. And just make note that that is part of the price difference. So it's not just simply that this tool, the BiBury, is going to be, I'm just going to call them by their brand names from this point on, but understand what they represent. This represents the bigger, beefier tool, or the Surge clone, and this represents the Wave clone, or the more lighter tool. So the BiBury already is beefier, and that really accommodates for the price difference, but also know the price difference also comes into factor for what you're getting in the in this right here. So You know, so I already did a review on my channel here in regards to just the features on them. So what I'm really going to dive into this is not going through the features as much as focusing on the differences between the tools. So if I don't cover everything, just know that it's not, you know, from the angle or the perspective of okay, he didn't do a full review, but it's really just to really highlight those differences. So first off, they both have your blade, straight edge blade, and you can see here the difference in size is pretty significant for the size of these tools in general. It's a lot thicker, it's a lot longer, though I'm sure you can accomplish everything you need to with that blade there. Now, one difference is this saw, I'm sorry, not saw, I always keep calling this saw, this file, though I'm sure that I'm not even going to go into whether or not the quality of the file is any different or not, but let me flip on this side because the file's on this side. This one is a removable and where you can actually put in the saw bits. So in that regards, you're going to see it changes up the entire dynamic of the tool when it comes to the ability to switch this out. Now, granted, that means that you won't have on hand. I'm going to say right off the bat, before even going any further into this tool will feel a little more incomplete unless you have all the rest of the additional pieces with it. And we're going to kind of get into that as we compare them directly. So just know that this is going to rely heavily on this. It gives you more options in the BiBury than you'd get inside the Flissa. But at the same time, it's very reliant on your little additional toolkit. And if you don't have that with you, this is going to feel somewhat limited. And we're getting into all those details and how and why in a bit. So you have the file. And let's see here. Sorry, I had a little brain fog for a moment. Flipping on the other side, you have the serrated blade, which they're both going to have that. So, you know, no major deal. And comparing that, you see that both of these have different things on different sides. So they kind of alternate. And this is a lot bigger. But like I said, I really want to focus on the differences more so than anything else. Now here, and I have no problem getting any of the tools out of this relative to, I previously had reviewed a Rocktal before Wave Clone, and I had a lot of problems getting not a lot, well, a lot of problems getting one of the tools out. But anyway, there goes your saw. Now this doesn't have a saw on here. Instead, you have replaced with scissors, and they're large scissors. And one thing I want to say when it comes to the scissors on this is I really like the scissors. So this to me is a major focus of this tool. Now I like larger scissors. Not everyone likes them. Some people are fine with just a small pair of scissors. I like larger scissors, especially if you are more domesticated in the way you use your tool. Then you're going to probably use it for things like arts and crafts, maybe with the kids, cutting paper, and not so much the survival tool that you know you need to cut. Um, what do you call it again? The cords. I forget. I'm having a brain fart now. What they call them again? Paracord. Different types of ropes and whatever the case is. Now, the smaller type of scissors on most of these tools will cut that fine without a problem. So, you know, that's not really like an issue, but the ergonomics of a bigger scissor for the purpose of things like cutting paper and doing arts and crafts with your kids, I feel makes a difference because you're not just simply cutting a piece of you know, not wire, rope or whatever the case is, but you're actually probably navigating a full size paper. At least I have in the past. So I like that as opposed to the scissors here. And there's another thing I'm going to point out too. Getting these additional tools that are on the inside on the BiBury out because it's bigger and just the way it does like the area where your grip on is so like much chunkier, it's easier to get these tools out. I'll get into that in a moment. But you can see here these scissors and comparing them. These cut fine, but this is just way better ergonomically. You know, they're both going to cut paper fine, but this just feels a lot better when it comes to you doing your cutting. And I personally prefer having larger scissors. Now, in fact, let me just leave this out just to get into some of the other tools they have here, because like I said, they're not as easy to take out, and it doesn't help that I don't have any nails. So I'm just going to get all the tools out here so that way we can just jump into everything while the tools are out. Now, I had a lot of trouble trying to get this out. Now, if I had nails, it probably would be a lot easier. But the fact that I don't really have nails, and I had a lot of trouble getting this out just a moment ago. So to me, that's a thing. It's just something to make note of. That may not apply to you guys because maybe you have nails, but I don't. So that becomes a little bit of an issue for me. And if you're like me, then it will become an issue for you. Where the BiBury, getting these tools out here, these are very chunky, almost like how my Leatherman Wingman is, and they're so easy to get out because of that. Even if I don't have nails, it is quite easy to get out, and they come out smooth. There's no tension on them, which is another. For me, it's a plus. For other people, it may not be a big deal, but there's no tension on them, so they come out very easy and they lock. So you don't have to worry about the fact they don't have tension because they lock. And here we're gonna have with the Flissa, this comes out, it has tension on it, which is fine. There's a little bit of tension. There's nothing wrong with that. But I make note of that to say here, you have a spring mechanism that makes it go back, retract back into its position. So it is not the same level of tension. Now, when it comes to getting into the tool set here, here's what it really comes down to. So I feel like the Flissa has to be a little bit more. For the most part, they're the same, but there's some small differences that make it a little more versatile on the actual handset. Whereas this one, when you include the additional, tool accessories, it makes up for that. So what I mean by that is your 1/4-inch bit is a double-sided Phillips and flathead, which obviously if you're on the run and you're running and gunning, it's nice to be able to have one or the other. This one right here has 2 Phillips sided. So normally you would say, well, what can I do with that? Yes, it gives you 2 options for the Phillips, but then if you needed a flathead, you wouldn't have that within the bit, even though you get 2 more bits that are double-sided flatheads inside the toolkit. So that makes up for it, which is why I say you kind of have to rely on that to a degree, though it makes up for it in its own ways. And I'll get into that in a second. Here, for the additional tools, you have, obviously, they both have the can opener, bottle opener. This one's scissors, and this one has the scissors elsewhere, which is fine. So they kind of just swap out places when it comes to those between that and the saw. This one doesn't have a saw on it. Once again, you need your additional tool set to even have a saw. So this one has a saw. So with things like that, you could say that this is a little more independent of its additional tool accessories. Well, this one has a flathead, an additional flathead screwdriver there, and it has the small screwdriver for like things like glasses. This one doesn't have a small one on hand, and I really think most people don't really use that anyway for glasses. Very rare that you use that, though it does have within its toolkit a few options that get comparatively as small as that, but I won't say they get as small as that. But you have this one right here, which is kind of small. But most people will find that as a waste of space. And if it's just a matter of if you say I need this tool because I need to get to my glasses and unscrew my glasses, then that's on you if you feel that you need this tool just for that. Most people, that's not the case. So I say that to say these 2 options here on this fix your problem of not having the flathead screwdriver bit on this, on the reversible end. So technically, it's like you have the small and large Phillips in this one head, and then you have the small and large of the flathead here. So in that case, you have 4 options in that regard. So sometimes people think that this is a little redundant to have these 2 here, but being that this doesn't have a flathead, I feel that it makes sense here. It doesn't seem as visually appealing to know you got tools that feel like they're wasted. And the truth is, if you have this big kit on you at all times, then those will feel kind of like a waste of space. But for ease of use and be able to, readily just pull it out rather than having to run and switch up your tool set, that's a great availability. Or if this is not on you at the moment, you left this in your car, you're using this tool, or you left it somewhere that's in not that far away in arm's reach, but you don't have to go back for it. That's a nice addition there. So in that regards, it tries to make up for its lack of versatility with the fact that that is, a double-sided Phillips, which in a way almost makes it more versatile if your focus is screw driving. With that being said, this tool here doesn't require or lean on any additional accessories. So you kind of, you have your flathead on this side here. Everything you kind of need is here. It doesn't have as many options as this, but you aren't gonna, it's more designed to where you don't have to rely on additional toolkit because it doesn't have an additional toolkit. If that makes sense. So overall, I am going to say that I think both of them are great. They work great for what they're intended. I think my only issue now, when I first had got the Flissa, I liked it a lot and I had no problems with it. I still don't have any problems with it and it feels nice. But the only issue for me, which you may not run into a problem with, is I have trouble getting these tool sets out. Now, granted, I'm not really using them on a regular basis. I'm usually using most of the outer tools, or I could use the screwdriver or the pliers. But to me, it is a little bit of a bother trying to get those out because I don't have nails. Now you can see here the pliers. This one's just a lot bigger and chunkier. If you're using just for basic jobs, that may not matter, but for heavy duty jobs, this is definitely bigger. Now I can't really say necessarily opens wider. Excuse me. It does, but at the same time, it has to really kind of be broken in for you to do that. Because you see, I got to pull the jaws here open a lot more to get it there. So it's not really at that place yet. But yeah. So you choose whichever one you think works best for you. To be honest, and this one I got the black finish, so I do like the way this looks. I feel the quality of this tool is very much there, so there's no issues with it at all. You're saving about $20. So if no, I'm sorry, you're saving actually $30. So if you feel that, this is this one I feel like gives you just what you need for the price. It's a little more like less dependent, obviously, because it doesn't have additional tool set. It's a little more independent versus this one, which might cause you to have to rely on the additional tool set. Like, for example, you don't have a saw in this. You don't have a saw. You do have a way to get around the whole lack of the bit having, one side flathead, one side Phillips, but you still are going to rely a little bit more on this one's additional toolkit, in my opinion. If you don't have a problem with that, I think it's fine. But obviously, this is a beefier tool. So obviously, when you buy this, you're coming with the mentality that it has a lot of weight on it. So you probably don't mind carrying this with you everywhere because you're already carrying a heavier tool. So I think they definitely have a different market in mind. But you have to approach it like that. Don't just view it as they're both the same thing, so I'm going to use them both the same way. You can for the most part, but just understand this one, I genuinely feel the BiBury comes with that mentality of I'm coming to do heavy duty work, so I'm always carrying this on me. And this is a tool that is complete with its additional accessories, while this one is a little bit more pocketable and it doesn't, have that kind of reference. With that being said, you guys, I think both tools are great. Link in the description. Put your comments down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.